Good morning, I'm Kathleen Pate and this is my Alabama farm life. And I cannot believe how quickly fall snuck up on me. I mean, it's the end of October and it's starting to get cool like it's supposed to, but today we are only getting a high of 63. So that's why I'm standing in my greenhouse. It's a lot warmer in here. I was actually hoping that I'd get another tomato and cucumber harvest, and it might be too cool, but we're gonna see. Those tomatoes are my Siberians and they're supposed to be really well at tolerating cool weather. So maybe I'll get lucky and I'll get some more tomatoes before we get a hard freeze. This video is a progression of how I grew my cucumbers this year, from start to finish to seed collection. I hope you enjoy it. I have decided to do the Three Sisters method. My corn was getting tall, I had some peas, and I have a ton of cucumbers. So I'm going to set these all together and see how they grow. I'm going to show you my little raised bed. It's doing really well. The peas I don't think are liking the heat too much, but the corn and the cucumbers and the tomatoes are growing and they look pretty good. And although this was a quick build, I already have a raised bed started with corn and tomatoes and cucumbers in it. I only have one little fruit so far, but I have tons of flowers, so I'm expecting a really good harvest of cucumbers soon. Very, very happy with my greenhouse garden. My Siberian tomatoes are ready to pull off the vines. And my cucumbers, I got a bunch of cucumbers. I'm very pleased with this. Now I need to make some relish. Now it's time to get out here to the greenhouse garden. I have cucumbers and tomatoes growing out here, but all the cucumbers I'm going to harvest and put them into the bucket, and we'll eat what's ripe, and anything that's overripe I'm going to harvest seeds. Now it's time to get these cucumbers in the house so I can start collecting the seeds. I've watched several channels, including MB Heritage and Hedgehog's Homestead, who both collected cucumber seeds. And I've decided that I'm just going to go ahead and ferment mine for a couple of days. But first, I have to get them out. I guess I could go ahead and slice all the way through, but I want to be able to collect as many whole seeds as I can. So I'm just going to go halfway and then I'm just going to crack it open. I used a little muscle and I am in. Now I'm just going to take a spoon and I'm just going to go ahead and just scoop the seeds out, trying to be careful not to get a whole lot of pulp. I'm going to go ahead and cut this in a quarter because there's still some seeds in there that I can't get to, but also being careful not to cut the seeds themselves. Now that I have all the seeds out, I'm not going to waste this cucumber. I'm going to go ahead and chop it up, and I'm going to throw it in this little container, and it will go out to the chickens in a little while for their dinner. My hens are always happy to get extra treats. I have collected a good amount of seeds, and I put them in this little container. I'm just going to add a little bit of water and then I'm gonna transfer them to a little mason jar. I'm gonna use the fermentation process, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover the jar with a paper towel and secure it with a rubber band. And then I'm gonna set it up here on the windowsill for about 3 days. This process will get rid of the covering that is on the actual seed. Once it's done, I'll take it out and let them dry. It's been 3 days. Let's see how well they did. I could see that there was some mold buildup, and you can see it as I take off the paper towel. This will not affect the seeds, and I'm just going to take a spoon and scoop it out and put it into a little strainer I have here in the sink. I'm also going to remove any of the pulp or any seeds that are floating on top. These seeds are not going to be any good. They are not viable. I'm going to use a strainer and dump the seeds into it. I'm going to make sure that there's no big pieces of pulp left, and I'm going to go ahead and give them a good rinse. I originally put the seeds on a paper towel, but then changed my mind and decided to put them on wax paper. I heard that it's easier to get the seeds off the wax paper versus the paper towel. So once I get them all on the wax paper, nice and neat, I went ahead and put them up in the windowsill to dry. With those on the windowsill drying, I decided to take the last 3 cucumbers that I had put aside for seeds, and I'm going to go ahead and cut them open and get the seeds out of these cucumbers. I used a spoon and scraped the seeds and the pulp directly into the strainer. I went ahead and turned on the water and rinsed them off real good, and I pulled out any big pieces of pulp, and there was actually quite a bit of it. When I felt like they were good and rinsed and all the pulp was out of them, I went ahead and brushed them into this little jar. I went ahead and added water to this little jar, hoping that the smaller pieces of pulp would float to the top, and I was also able to see how many seeds were unviable. I went ahead and removed them also. When I was satisfied that all the debris was out of the seeds, I went ahead and poured them back into the strainer to remove as much of the moisture as possible. I went ahead and put the seeds onto a piece of wax paper, but in hindsight, I think I should have put them on a paper towel first to get off the excess moisture and then onto the wax paper to dry. There was a lot of moisture still in these seeds, but I'm just going to go ahead and put them up on the seal next to my other seeds, and we're just going to have to see how long it takes them to dry. The seeds dried within 2 weeks, and then I folded them up in the wax paper for safekeeping. I couldn't find any video of when I planted the seeds, but I used the Marketmore 76 from Baker Creek Seeds. I ordered my envelopes through Amazon, and this is what I'm going to store my newly processed seeds in. I want to keep the seeds separate, so I'm going to mark one package fermented for the fermented seeds and then just regular for the regular dried seeds. I really want to continue my experiment between the fermented seeds and the unfermented seeds to see which ones propagate, but I'm going to have to wait till spring to do that. I'm really pleased with the way these cucumbers came up. I didn't get as many as I wanted to, but I think if I had grown them vertically, I probably would have gotten a lot more. But maybe that's something that I'll do next year in my spring garden. It looks like I have a lot more seeds that I'm going to be able to plant next year. So if anybody's interested in doing their own little experiment with these seeds, or if you'd rather have regular seeds or the fermented seeds, send me an email, include your address, and I will send you some seeds. Just let me know which kind you like, because you can never have enough seeds. I I can't wait to get these seeds in the ground and find out how well they grow. But until then, you guys have a great day.